again. I'm so excited today because they let me out of the building for a change. We want to talk about snowmobiling because guess what? It's winter, in case you hadn't noticed. We want to talk about some regulations and some bylaws. Joining us and giving us his time, thankfully, is Ray Magnan with the City Police Department. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Good, good. Now, first, tell us about some bylaws in Sault Ste. Marie. One that I think a lot of people aren't clear about is, can I ride my sled in city limits? Because in some towns you can, right?
That's right. That's a great question. And normally the Highway Traffic Act allows you to operate the snow machines on a roadway. However, the city bylaw will limit which roads they're allowed on. So within the city of Sault Ste. Marie, there's a snowmobile map available online at the city site under bylaws, which basically the downtown core is prohibited from any snow machine, and the outlying areas are allowed, except for there are some roads which are prohibited. For example, fourth line is a prohibited roadway you can't be on. You can cross it, you just can't drive down it. But third line would be okay in the outlying areas. There's also some certain streets within town that are prohibited that may be around that it's okay, but that specific street's not allowed. Again, the best way is to refer to the map online, so make sure you're in the right area where you should be. You can never be on the sidewalk. That's not allowed at any time. And again, when you're on the roadway, you have to be obeying the rules of the road as well.
Now, with regards to, you mentioned that you can go down third line, but not fourth line.
That's correct. So their third line, and you'll see that in the map, is allowed, that area, again, but fourth line is a specific road that's not allowed, and there are several of them on the bylaw that aren't allowed. That's just an example, one that you can't go, but you can cross it. The snowmobile trails within the city of Sault Ste. Marie, the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Trails in Sault Ste. Marie, you can go on those, and some of those cross roadways, and again, that's allowed.
Now, what makes a street available to a sledder or not? I would have thought because fourth line is, further out from the city, that it would be accessible, but third line is and fourth isn't. So where's the decision making there?
That's left up to the city, and then a lot of these decisions were made a while ago. The map's been in place for a while. I can imagine fourth line being a lot of truck traffic on fourth line as well. I'm not sure why exactly. It's just that is the map. They're the ones the legislators make the rules for us, and that's what's laid out. That may change sometime in the future, but right now that is what we have. And again, some of the streets that were allowed within the area had to do with a lot of complaints about snow machine activity, which was disturbing residents, so they disallowed some of those streets. But again, the best thing is to have that map, make a copy, carry it with you, so you make sure you're in the right, because you could be charged in the bylaw if you don't have it.
Speaking of residential areas, that's a really good point that you made, because I guess it would depend on whether or not there's a lot of activity and whether or not the people mind it. Because there is a curfew. I had no idea.
Yes. So yeah, underneath this bylaw as well, the curfew is 11 p.m. to 8 a.m., which you're not allowed to be out during that time. Again, this is a quiet time. Most people are ready to head to bed or sleeping already. So snow machines in the city of Sault Ste. Marie, that's a city bylaw. The curfew is 11 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Now, do you guys have to police the Grooming Trails?
Yes, we also do policing on the Grooming Trails in conjunction with us, and as well as the OPP, we do combined patrols. We also police Prince Township, so we'll be out there as well. And at different times, again, checking for vehicles or snow vehicles that are outside the area, or another Highway Traffic Act or motorized snow vehicle infractions, such as another common concern is loud mufflers. Mm-hmm. People are modifying the snow machine under the motorized snow vehicle act. You cannot modify the muffler, and again, you could be charged with that. And the reason for that, obviously, is disturbing the residents in the area with loud mufflers.
Now, with regards to other regulations when you're out sledding, a lot of them apply as they would to when you're driving your car, right? No drinking and driving.
Exactly, a great point. All those rules apply. You can lose your license for a 3-day suspension if you had a warrant on a motorized snow vehicle, just like you would in your car. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Even though I'm operating a snow vehicle and I get stopped, it's my driver's license that will be suspended from my car. So you could be in a situation where you can't drive to work because you have a suspension. So the best case is no drinking and operating a motorized snow vehicle, and especially if you're a young driver as well, you have to have 0 alcohol. So that's something in consideration. And we'll be out doing ride checks with our snowmobiles during this season as well at times. We'll be set up at points where we'll be checking snowmobiles to make sure that nobody's drinking and driving.
Now, because there are some changes, some people are a little bit gray with regards to whether a police officer in your vehicle, in your motorized vehicle, can stop you and just randomly ask you for a breathalyzer test. Does that apply to sledding as well? Or does an officer have to suspect that you've been drinking?
No, it applies to, because that's on the criminal code that demand comes from. And this is a motor vehicle, and the criminal code has a motor conveyance, so it does apply. All those rules apply for motorized snow vehicles as well.
Terrific. And you mentioned we can go to the city website or to the city police website?
For the bylaw, is on the city Sault Ste. Marie website under bylaws, and you'll see it's a snowmobile, and there's a link there for the map as well. It's a nice color map and shows exactly where you can be. It also shows the trail and the staging area, which is where we're at right now, where I can start off from and where I can go to access the trails properly. You don't want to be driving in the area that's not allowed. You have to trailer to a situation where you have a staging area. Unless you happen to live in an area where it's allowed, then you can obviously leave from your residence, but normally you'd have to become the staging area. So that's all on that map. It's a great resource, and we're always available for questions at City Police as well.
Now, with regards to safety, one of the things that I'm sure bothers you is showing up to an accident where someone's badly hurt or there's a fatality. For an area like Sault Ste. Marie, do you feel like the education level is pretty high with regards to safety and sledding?
I think it is. There's some great programs in place. The licensing program for young people, 12, can get their motorized snow vehicle license where they can operate not on the roadways but on the trail system. Some good education there, and by all means get educated. And I think the Ontario Federation Snowmobile does a great job of getting the message out there as well. Speed's a big concern with us, and that's something people should understand, that in the city where most roads are 50 kilometers, the max speed on a snowmobile is 20 kilometers. Okay. If the speed limit is 80 kilometers, then you can go 50 kilometers. But in town here, most of our speed limits are 50. So you have to obey the 20 kilometer when you're on the roadway. When you're on the trail system, there's speed limit signs on the trail system, which you have to obey as well. So speed's a concern because these machines get very fast. They're high performance these days, and that's always a concern. So you got to keep in mind, you have to be ready to take emergency action if somebody pulls in front of you, there's an obstruction on the roadway. So I would tell people to really monitor your speed. And then we already talked about alcohol. When you combine those two factors, that's usually where we see our serious collisions, when there's alcohol and speed or speed on its own.
And obviously use your common sense, like always have a helmet. Now this is the helmet that you guys use at the police station. Are there standards that we need to look at when we're buying a helmet?
Yeah, you want to look at the back. You have a DOT sticker on the back of the helmet, which you want to have. And most of the businesses here in town, they're more than set up to tell you the proper helmet to have. Oh, awesome. It's usually online. You got to be careful when you're ordering online. It could be helmets coming from China. They may not be the standard, but if you go to a reputable dealer in town here, they're going to set you up with a proper helmet. And again, it has to be properly attached, has to be done up. If it's not done up, it's like not wearing it. So make sure you have it properly done up, and be properly equipped for the weather is an important condition as well. Because if you do have a breakdown, you want to make sure you're properly dressed, that you would have to be, away from home maybe a while before somebody would come and get you. And on that, when you are going out, make sure you tell people where you're going. Yes. Have a plan where you're going to be, so that if there is a problem, and it's happened many times, and there may not be cell coverage or your cell battery may go dead, and what helps us in our search when we go looking for you is they can have us say, yeah, this is where he or she said to you they were going, and that's a good starting point for us. So always tell people where you're going. The other thing, make sure you're properly equipped on the snowmobile as well. Have some matches, have some an axe, have something you can have to make yourself a little shelter if you're going to be there a while, that you're all set. So when the time comes you do have a breakdown, you're not going to be in a place where you can make a fire, you can make a shelter if you have to. So have those things on a first aid kit on your machine, properly equipped. And when you leave, have a full tank of gas. Unless you're going very close around your residence.
I imagine, too, it's like swimming, right? Sledding with a buddy is always better. But if you do go out, it's a good idea to adhere to everything you were talking about. I would imagine, too, if you're thinking about buying a sled, that you can't alter them once you buy them, right?
Yeah, there's something like obviously for appearance and that kind of stuff, but yeah, you have to be careful when you start, especially like I was saying about the muffler, modifying and the noise, and the Motorized Snow Vehicle Act is very clear on that. You can do it on your own property, but once you leave your property and get checked, you would face a fine for that, and that's becoming more and more common, unfortunately, and that's where we're getting a lot of our noise complaints. and there'll be a few making, giving everybody a bad reputation for the snowmobilers, because the majority of snowmobilers are safe. They're out there to enjoy a good sport. But we have to remember, we have to think of others in terms of noise and where you're going as well. Trespassing, another common complaint. We got people, make sure where you're going is an authorized trail, and if you're on somebody's property, make sure you have permission to be there. Because again, I've already started receiving some complaints in my office about people trespassing on property with motorized snow vehicles.
And if you're not sure, don't go.
Exactly, unless you have permission of that landowner. People are the impression this is their land. They have permission to be there. Just because there's a snowmobile trail, it doesn't mean you're allowed to be there. And again, you could be charged with trespassing.
Well, thank you for taking such good care of us while we're out on our sleds.
No problem. We look forward to a safe snowmobiling season.
Appreciate your time, Ray.
Thank you.
We'll be back right after this.